Welcome to today's explainer on mobilizing financial resources. We are mapping out the ultimate entrepreneur's journey today, taking you all the way from that initial light bulb moment to a fully funded operational business. Our goal is to equip you with detailed knowledge of the types of funds out there, how lenders actually evaluate you, the pros and cons of different sources, and some major government initiatives. So, if you're looking to acquire some serious skills in resource mobilization and financial management, you are in the exact right place. Let's get into it.
Right out of the gate, our source materials hits us with this undeniable truth. Finance is known as the blood of the business, and without finance, the business cannot be run. I mean, it really is that simple, right? Just like a physical body needs blood to survive and grow, your startup, or even an existing enterprise, absolutely relies on a steady, healthy flow of cash to establish itself, keep the lights on day to day, and eventually scale up. To demystify all of this, here is our roadmap. We'll cover the blood of business, categorizing sources of funds, weighing pros and cons, factors for choosing funds, and finally, government funding schemes.
All right, starting with Section 1, the blood of business, assessing your financial requirements. So your specific industry totally dictates your financial path. Take a manufacturing enterprise, for example. It is highly capital intensive. Because you're investing heavily in physical infrastructure, like massive plants and heavy machinery, you need a ton of capital right away. But on the flip side, a service sector enterprise generally requires far fewer financial resources simply because it doesn't rely on all that physical infrastructure. The takeaway here? A systematic assessment of your specific business type is the absolutely mandatory first step before you even think about looking for money. Moving right along to Section 2, categorizing sources of funds. Where does the money actually come from? Well, first, we can classify these funds by duration. Short-term sources are funds you're going to use for less than 1 year. These act as your working capital, basically covering your day-to-day operations and immediate liquidity needs. By contrast, long-term sources extend for over 5 years. And you need these long-term funds when you're looking to purchase massive fixed assets for long-term expansion. Things like land, buildings, and heavy machinery.
Next up, we can categorize by where the money is generated. You've got internal generation, which literally means arranging funds from within your own organization. Now, while that's safe, it's usually a pretty limited pool of money. Then you have external generation, which is when you arrange funds from outside the organization. This could be through commercial banks, public deposits, or even hitting up your friends and family.
Which brings us to Section 3, weighing pros and cons, the balancing act of external financing.
When we look outward, commercial banks are often the first stop, and they are incredibly versatile. They're a classic choice because they can provide loans across all durations, short, medium, or long-term. Not only do they offer adequate finance exactly when you need it, but a lot of people don't realize they can also step up and provide valuable technical support to growing businesses if you ask for it.
But, and it's a big but, you really have to navigate their notoriously rigid criteria. Securing a bank loan involves jumping through a lot of complex procedural hoops. The rules are uncompromising, which, unfortunately, heavily disadvantages smaller ventures or new startups that don't quite have a strong financial track record yet. If your financials aren't absolutely rock solid, traditional commercial banks can be a really tough door to get your foot into.
Alternatively, you might want to look at more modern avenues to raise external funds. Crowdfunding is brilliant because it uses the internet and social media to bypass those traditional banks entirely. Instead of begging one massive entity for a large sum, you're collecting funds directly from the general public. You create a large pool of funds by aggregating tons of small contributions from regular people who just believe in your vision.
However, our source points out a pretty significant limitation here. Convincing that online crowd is actually incredibly difficult and totally unpredictable. I mean, it sounds easy to just post your big idea online, but breaking through the noise on social media and actually hitting your funding target, that requires a massive strategic marketing effort and an absolutely killer pitch.
Now for Section 4, factors for choosing funds, passing the lender's test. Let's frame this practically so we can see how lenders actually operate. Imagine you're walking into a bank to apply for a loan to fund a brand new small restaurant. What exact criteria is that financial institution scrutinizing before they sign off and hand over the cash?
Well, here is their exact checklist. First, they systematically assess the risk level of your business. A new restaurant, for instance, statistically carries a really high risk of failure. Second, they verify the exact amount of funds required. They want to see that you've done the hard math and aren't just pulling a number out of thin air. Third, they calculate the cost of raising those funds. And finally, they closely evaluate your ownership structure. Remember, every source of finance carries its own cost, so lenders need to be absolutely certain your business model can actually sustain the repayment. Moving to our final part, Section 5, Government Funding Schemes, Unlocking the Government Boost. If those traditional private routes are just feeling way too rigid, our source details some incredible government initiatives designed as lifelines for entrepreneurs. First is the Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, or PMEGP. This is a credit-linked subsidy program implemented nationally by the Khadi and Village Industries Commission. Its main goal? To create self-employment opportunities for unemployed youth and artisans in both rural and urban areas by helping them set up micro-enterprises.
And the scale of this assistance is just massive. Under PMEGP, if you're starting a manufacturing enterprise, the maximum project cost they will consider for funding is an impressive 25 lakh rupees. For the service sector, it's up to 10 lakhs. That is some serious financial backing to get a brand new micro-enterprise off the ground. Plus, it's a highly accessible proposition. Basically, any individual 18 or older can apply. If your project is on the larger side, over 5 lakhs for service or 10 lakhs for manufacturing, you just need to have passed Standard 8. But here's the absolute game changer. This scheme requires absolutely no collateral security or third-party guarantee. None. And on top of that, it provides a massive subsidy ranging from 15% all the way up to 35% of the project cost, depending on your specific category and location.
The second major government initiative we're looking at is the Mudra Yojana. Mudra stands for Micro Units Development and Refinance Agency Ltd. It's tailor-made to support non-farming sector microenterprises. Interestingly, Mudra isn't a direct lending institution itself. Actually, it's a refinancing agency that provides support through intermediaries, like your traditional banks and microfinance institutions.
What's really smart about Mudra is how it structures its financial support into 3 distinct tiers, matching exactly where you are in your growth stage. First up is the Shishu category, which covers microloans up to 50,000 rupees. Next is Kishore, designed for loans above 50,000 and up to 5 lakh rupees. And finally, the Tarun category covers your larger funding needs, stretching from 5 lakh up to a maximum cap of 10 lakh rupees. It's a perfectly tiered system designed to step up alongside your business development.
So, there you have it. We've mapped out this incredibly complex, yet fascinating landscape of financial resources. We've gone from understanding that finance is the literal lifeblood of your business, to weighing traditional bank loans against crowdfunding, and finally exploring some really powerful government lifelines like PMEGP and Mudra. Choosing the right source of finance doesn't just manage your liquidity, it actively reduces your cost of capital, directly driving your profit and growth. So I'll leave you with this final thought. With all of these diverse sources now laid out clearly before you, which funding path will you choose to bring your next big idea to life?